Hello, say hi to a happy day and enjoy listening while I read to you a story. Pajama Party. Ward couldn't sleep. Ever since Merlin the wizard had arrived, Ward's life had been turned upside down. Merlin insisted on turning Ward into different animals to enhance Ward's educational experiences, and that was on top of all his normal chores. It was a lot to handle. That night, the boy looked out his window and saw that the light in Merlin's rickety tower was still on. Ward paid Merlin a visit. When he arrived, he found that Merlin's owl, Archimedes, was even grumpier than normal. "It's too drafty," Archimedes said. "It's leaky. It smells weird." "Go to sleep, you wretched creature," Merlin shouted. "Sleep in this unsuitable environment?" Archimedes huffed. "I can't sleep either," Ward said. "Here," Merlin said, waving his hand. A gigantic book wafted toward Ward. "This one is very boring. Give it a read. It can be part of your bedtime routine." "What's a bedtime routine?" Ward asked. Of course he doesn't have a bedtime routine, Merlin muttered to himself. Who would have thought him? Just then, Merlin jumped up, suddenly energetic. "Since nobody is getting any sleep, we might as well have a party." Archimedes eyed the wizard suspiciously. Merlin waved his wand again, and presto! Ward was wearing pajamas. Having never had real pajamas before, he was delighted. "What is the meaning of this?" Archimedes demanded. "Just because I'm wearing a hat with a tassel does not mean I'm going to bed." "No, of course not," Merlin scoffed. "We're just having a pajama party." What do we do at a pajama party?" Ward asked. "Usually there's a story," Merlin said, raising his wand again. "Ribbitus, rabbitus," he shouted. Ward could tell something was different. He shook his head and felt a bit confused. His long ears flopped. "Wait, long ears? We're rabbits," Ward exclaimed. "The best storyteller in Britain is Mama Rabbit," Merlin explained. "Come on, we'll be late." Ward hopped after the wizard, and Archimedes kept pace above as they made their way into the woods. Soon, Merlin skipped to a stop. "We're here," he said, pointing to the entrance of a burrow. "Archimedes," Merlin added, "I'm afraid you'll need to listen from a distance." "Why?" Ward asked. "It's part of the tension between predators and prey, my boy. You see some owls eat rabbits?" Our Archimedes wouldn't, of course. "But it's safer for everyone if Archimedes stays here and isn't accidentally threatening." Archimedes rolled his eyes. Merlin and Ward squeezed themselves through a tunnel and eventually settled near the back of the burrow. The home was filled with young bunnies, all listening intentionally to Mama Rabbit. Merlin muttered a spell so that he and Ward could understand what she was saying. Mama Rabbit's voice was gentle, and as she spoke, Ward could see the story unfolding. All the young bunnies started to close their eyes and drift off to sleep. "Those little bunnies found their way home," Mama Rabbit said, "and soon after, they fell fast asleep." Ward yawned. "This is a very good story, don't you think so?" the boy whispered. Then a soft snore rumbled nearby. It was coming from Merlin. "Ever since that day," Mama Rabbit said, her voice barely a whisper, "we bunnies have told the story to the owl." A bunny screamed. Suddenly, everyone in the burrow was very awake. There, peeking out from behind his rabbit friends, was Archimedes. "You didn't really expect me to wait outside, did you? I could barely hear the story," the owl confessed. Merlin, Wart, and Archmedes started backing toward the exit of the burrow amid the bunnies' chaos. Archmedes knew he had made a mistake coming in here. "Get out!" Mama Rabbit shrieked at the uninvited guest. Her bunnies quickly joined in. "Merlin, do something!" Wart cried. Merlin was panicking a little, but he knew what to do. As the smoke cleared, Ward realized he was back in Merlin's tower. He touched his head. The long ears were gone. "I'm a boy again," Ward said. "And we're back home," Archmedes added. "Not a moment too soon." Merlin prepared a tray with a pitcher and 3 cups. "Here we go," he said, spinning around triumphantly. "Warm milk?" As the trio moved to the table, Wart found himself thinking about Mama Rabbit's story. He noticed how soft his new pajamas were, and he suddenly felt very dozy. "You know," Wart began. "Shh," Merlin replied. He pointed at Archmedes, who had fallen asleep. Wart stripped at a giggle. Merlin carefully picked up the slumbering bird. He settled Archimedes in his birdhouse and threw a blanket over his shoulders. "There," Merlin said, patting Archimedes gently. Ward stretched and yawned. He was ready for bed too. With a final wave of his hand, Merlin whisked them back to Ward's room. The boy climbed into his bed, which had never felt softer in his whole life. Merlin was pleased with himself. His idea to have a pajama party had worked. He yawned. The party had made him quite tired as well. "It's funny," Ward said. "Before this party, I wasn't sleepy at all." Merlin smiled knowingly. "Comfy pajamas, a bedtime story, and a cup of warm milk," he said. "This, my boy, is a bedtime routine." "Do you think you might try it on your own tomorrow night?" Merlin asked. But he got no answer. Ward was fast asleep. Merlin tucked the boy in, then he went off onto his own bed and fell asleep right away. The end. I hope you enjoyed listening to the story, Pajama Party. Please don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to listen to more of our favorite book stories. See you soon!